Hello and welcome to your Pick a Card reading. My name is Victoria Bedford at the Spiritual Hub, and I am going to be tuning in today to connect with what is it do you need to know around relationships in your life. I am a bit of a different reader. I don't look at the future or what's coming for you. The readings that I do are based around how can you improve your life, how can you make changes that are going to empower you to up level, how can you start creating a life that is one that brings you more peace, brings you more purpose. And part of that, I absolutely believe, is the connections we have with others. And due to many wounds and traumas and things that have occurred in our life, we struggle to connect to other people. We struggle to bond because of our triggers and pain. We struggle to trust. We struggle with paranoia. We struggle with so many different things. And I believe when we start to understand what's holding us back with building deeper connections, we can actually start to heal some of those wounds that is stopping us from connecting with people. Now, I never know what's going to come up in these readings because I do shuffle and work with the cards that I receive on the reading. So I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this reading. I do have a Subscribers Hub, which is exclusive content on Facebook. If you are interested in further readings or connecting with me, empowering yourself to heal through knowledge and awareness, because I do use psychology and lots of self-awareness to be able to have created the life that is amazing for me, through lots of things that I've been through. And I really want to empower people to be able to start creating a life that's more fulfilling for them. So do subscribe to my channel. It really helps me build my channel on here. And do comment if there's a comment that you'd like to add, or whether this connected with you. I love to connect with people. I love to see how readings can empower people. So let's move on to the reading. I do say take some nice breaths in through the nose and connect with the cards in front of you. Feel which card you are drawn to. Hello Pile 1 and welcome to your cards. So there's a fair few pack of cards here because some of them are going to be used in the extensive or the extended, not the extensive, the extended reading. So I am going to be looking at Pile 1. What do you need to know in relationships? What do you need to know in the connections around you? Meaning, how can you build deeper connections? How can you build bonds? I don't know. I generally look into the readings and what is it you don't know that you are being called to know? And what this can do is this can help you build deeper bonds or help you see things in a different way. So I've asked the cards for this one, and then I'm going to ask the cards separately for those ones. So the first card that you have got is 44 Union. The energy of union activates our ability to unite our outer and inner aspects towards a state of wholeness. So the card that you have got is the affirmation that you're being called to say is, I am whole. Union means to be united or joined together. This suggests that there was a state of separation before, and that there are parts or components that can be joined together to create a oneness. In reference to the inner world of the human being, union has to do with a state of wholeness, completion, harmony, balance, and inner peace. As pure spiritual and energetic beings, we are all connected to and part of everything. We are all one. From the moment we are born in this three-dimensional world, we start on a journey to experience that feeling of oneness again. As a spiritual being in physical bodies, we find that our journey resolves around our intrinsic desire for that sense of completion and wholeness, a deep yearning to not feel alone or separated deep inside. We carry the inherent memory of feeling one with everything, with the universe and with God. Our quest to return to this state of wholeness is often what fuels our desires, drives our motivations, and determines our direction in life, ensuring our growth and evolution. The Three of Circles represents the individual energies that two people bring into a relationship, plus a third energy that through their relationship. The ring in the middle represents the universal relationship that binds all these energies together. While ultimately our sense of wholeness has to come from within, through relationship with others, we can support our desire to not feel alone while growing our inner sense of completion through the reflection of another. In a harmonious love relationship, partners maintain their individuality and uniqueness, while their togetherness creates a related third entry into the sun. When united in this manner, the relationship can be fulfilling and transforming, with each partner on their individual journey and growing as they simultaneously share a joint adventure. 1 and 1 makes 3. Union with a mate is far more than joining of physical bodies. When union entails the merging of hearts and souls as well, and thus the energies of many different levels, the fulfillment we experience can be profound and deeply transformative. Food for thought. Give some thought to the idea of 1 and 1 makes 3. How do you feel about this concept? I'm sorry, I need a drink of water. How is this different from the idea that two people unite and become one? Are you seeking union with a mate? What would that add to what you do by yourself? Is it a physical act or does it go beyond? Does union occur instantaneously or does it happen over time? Do you believe in once united, always united? What does union need to be sustained? Are there different aspects within yourself that need to be united? What I'm feeling that this card is saying to you, that maybe you base your happiness on other people. You potentially feel that other people are meant to make you whole. So what I mean by that is, until we become aware, we can quite often leave ourselves feeling unhappy if somebody else is unhappy, unhappy if somebody's moody with us, unhappy if people aren't behaving in the way that we want, unhappy if the relationship isn't the way we expect it to be. When we base our happiness on the behaviours, thoughts and feelings of another, we're almost expecting somebody else to fulfill us. And what I feel this card is saying to you is that the union has to be first made with you. You have to first find wholeness within yourself and feel complete, so that when you meet another, you can understand that they're there to add to your happiness and not create it. Now, I don't mean you have to be whole when you meet somebody else, because quite often when we meet people, we are, in pain or got wounds or things, so we're not completely whole. But what we have to do and what we have to learn as we go along relationships and with people is the expectation for them to be a certain way is going to always leave us disappointed. Yes, we can have beliefs around what behaviours we will and won't accept, but you also have to reflect on whether you do those behaviours. If we're wanting a person to be more open with us and more vulnerable with us, you have to first ask yourself, are you doing that with them? If you're wanting somebody to give you more time, you have to ask yourself, are you truly giving them enough time? Or are you expecting them to give you the time because you have time but they don't really have it? What are our expectations with other people? When we join with somebody else, we are whole and they are whole, and then it's our energies that merge, and that's what makes the 3. So I feel that you're being asked to understand that while you always hope that you're going to be happy with someone, until you're really happy and understanding of yourself, you will struggle to find happiness with them. You'll always find something that isn't okay. And you will always feel that it's a sense of something missing or a sense of something lost, because you will be expecting them to meet certain things within you. You want a partner to validate you in what you think and feel, but you don't validate yourself. You want a partner to support you in how you think and feel and what you need, but you don't necessarily support yourself. You don't take time out when you need it, but you want a partner to understand when you're tired. But unless you understand that you're tired and that you need to take time out, how can your partner understand that? I truly feel for you, Pile 1, that there may be some expectations that you have on other people that might sometimes mean that you're going to get disappointed. If we expect our friends to always try and support us or be there when we need them, that's because we have been taught that we always have to be there for someone else when they need us. Actually, sometimes we can't be, can we? So if we have to let people down, other people have to let us down. It's how it goes. We have to lower our expectations and understand that if we're human and we can't always do everything, we can't always be there for everyone, we can't always text, then we have to have some compassion and love for another, because the expectations of them may be so great. So, Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self, what guidance does Pile 1 need or want within relationships? Okay. Oh my God. The Lovers card. So the Lovers is about connection. I'll go into that in a minute. So I'm not going to work reverse. I put this up here. So we have the Four of Wands. We have the Lovers card. Let me just check it's all in view. I'm working it a different way here. We have the Ace of Swords. And we have the Three of Wands. Okay. So I feel here within I'm going to move some of these up because YouTube does have some new guidelines around not having anything naked on, so I have to make sure that some things are hidden. So I feel here for you within the relationships, you are being asked to see things differently. I feel that potentially, Group 1, you have been hurt within your life with connections. You may have grown up with an anxious, avoidant connection, like attachment with a parent, or you may have grown up with a parent where your attachment wasn't secure, meaning you may not have always felt heard by your parent. Your parent may have been a little bit aggressive, may have had addictions. Your parent would have struggled to may have been emotionally open with you and nurturing. And this might not be both parents, but it only takes one aspect of our life to hold a wound within us. And what I feel that this has done, I also feel that you've potentially had an ideation or a hope for what you thought your life was going to be. You may have got married and you thought it was all going to be, a certain way, and it hasn't turned out that way. And that has left you feeling quite deflated and potentially quite distrusting. Maybe it's not necessarily marriage, but maybe, I do feel that you have been in relationships and friendships where you've been hugely hurt and let down. Sorry. And this has led to you to almost toughen up and not be vulnerable. And almost say, yeah, the past is in the past, but without you realizing, you're carrying these wounds forward, and these wounds are affecting the relationships in your present. Either you haven't met anybody yet and you're hoping to meet somebody, but without realizing, you're pushing people away and you're not kind of open to close relationships because of that internal fear. Or you are with somebody and have people around you, but there are some expectations there. That means you're feeling disappointed. It means you feel as if you're giving more of yourself than you're getting back. I do feel as well that there's a potential friendship here that you feel like, or even relationship where you still are with the person. Oh, that ship sailed. We're never going to be who we were. We're never going to be the way we used to be. And the truth of the matter is you can be. You can be even better. You are potentially looking at things at how they could have been, which is stopping you for almost seeing things for how they can be. You are being asked to recognise that while you have grown and gotten through some tough times, they have almost hardened you a little bit. I do feel it's time to be vulnerable. And that has to happen slowly. But I feel like you're being called to be a bit more open to yourself about the loneliness you may feel, about the potential that you don't quite connect with people, and maybe realising that you have to start stepping out of your comfort zone and connecting with people. If you have grown up and you have had an insecure attachment or an anxious avoidant attachment with a parent, or even if you've been bullied in your life or had a relationship with someone in the early adolescence that led you to distrust people. It's time to start healing that by learning to trust people. We're never not going to be hurt in life, you know. Doesn't matter how much we try and safeguard ourselves, we're not going to not be hurt. Because even when we have a belief that we can trust somebody so much, when we give them that pedestal, when we believe that that person would never hurt us, they could do something unintentionally that would hurt us. We have to recognize when we have such high expectations of ourselves, meaning I don't want to get hurt again, so we don't let anyone in. Well, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because you're pushing connections away, or you're stopping yourself from meeting people. And then people go, well, I don't have any friends. That doesn't mean that you aren't able to make any. There are groups. There are places that you can learn, you can go to connect with people. And then we hear the, well, I don't want to go there. It's uncomfortable. It's embarrassing. It's different. Well, you have to ask yourself and come out of denial of, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting something different, you're going to keep feeling the same way. It's poison, isn't it? To heal those wounds and to heal your loneliness, you have to put yourself out there. But also, if you're wanting to love the person that you're in at a deeper level, you are being asked to build a secure attachment with them. And that means building a secure attachment with yourself. Trusting yourself when you're feeling upset and validating it and expressing it to them. But also knowing when you push a partner away or a friend away. Knowing when you have an expectation that people are meant to be a certain way. Quite often we have an expectation that our friends are meant to call us so often, bother with us, see us. Well, firstly, are you doing the same? Are you calling them weekly? Are you texting them? Are you seeing them? Because if you're having that expectation of a friend, are you doing the same? And secondly, people are busy, so are we. If we're not busy because you're ill at the moment, or you're inactive, or you're at home, recognizing that other people do and are busy, and that while you're going through what you're going through, other people aren't necessarily going through that, and they have their own things. I keep talking me as if it's first person, but I'm trying to give it in third person, second person, so I'm sorry. And I want you to know that this isn't a bad reading. This is a reading to bring to your consciousness how you can start reconnecting to other people and rebuilding deeper bonds. When we lower the expectation that we have, oh wow, look, great love and peace can come. You potentially have amazing people around you who want to connect with you on a deeper level. But the thing that happens, if you go through cycles where you are feeling disconnected, or you're feeling unheard or invalidated, you have to then go back and ask yourself, are you validating yourself? Are you validating your emotions? Are you validating your feelings and your things? Are you telling people how you feel and when you feel it? It has to come back to you. For us to feel love, we first have to give love to ourselves. We have to enjoy the connections around us. We have to find peace with the fact that nobody's perfect, and there's some situations and behaviours we have to learn to accept. We have to learn to accept the behaviours of others as long as they are not detrimental to us. And if they are detrimental to us, we have to ask ourselves, is it that detrimental that we have to cut off? Or is it detrimental because there's a wound in my childhood it's triggering? And what I mean by that is, if you've got a friend or a partner that doesn't hear you, and as a child you felt invalidated or unheard, you've got to recognise that you need to heal that. And how you heal that is by listening to yourself and your emotions and validating them, but also by recognising that not everyone is going to validate our emotions and feelings, but it doesn't mean they're any less valid. Okay, so let's have a look here. Oh, hold on. So, what does pile 1 need to know in relationships? Let's move them up. What does pile 1 need to know in relationships? Okay, emotional challenges. So I do feel that a lot of what goes on in relationships is centered around emotions, okay? So on my YouTube channel, there is a YouTube video that I've done on understanding your emotions and emotional regulation and connection. When we haven't learned how to regulate our emotions, how to validate them, how to feel them, and then how to process them, we can quite often get hijacked by our emotions. And I feel, group one, that you are potentially emotionally driven. If you feel angry at somebody, you'll either let them know or you'll hold it in, and it'll end up coming out at the end. You know, in a period of time, you'll end up shouting or getting it out. Or you'll feel rejected by somebody and let it play on your mind and feel like, you know, they're rejecting you or they're not bothering with you. And actually, majority of it sits with you and your emotions. Potentially, pile one, growing up, you haven't had your emotions validated. You haven't known how to share your emotions. You haven't known how to feel them. And potentially sometimes you feel as if you shouldn't feel these emotions. You get angry with yourself and others. You're being asked to start rising above your emotions. Start understanding the power of your emotions and that they are there to tell you something, but they're not there to control you. It's really weird because amongst that, I see like an elephant. So I want to say to you, pile one, do research an extra spiritual meaning of the spiritual meaning of the elephant, because that is being given to you. I don't know if you can see it. Absolutely. It's supposed to look like, I think, it's mad. I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. I think it's supposed to look like a flower with a, you know, oh, wow. Oh, I've seen something else. So it's almost like the strength within you is being asked to come out so that you are potentially caught in, or in feeling down, in feeling like people aren't there for you, no one understands you don't know how to deal with things. So you're being asked potentially to start understanding what your emotions are telling you. Emotions rise when something needs to change, whether that's internal change or external. So you may need to change how you deal with something, or how you absorb it as if it's yours. Or you may need to deal with how somebody is treating you. I also want to say to you, it's time to step into your feminine energy. Research invoking the feminine energy within, because there's a feminine wounding within you. You have stepped a bit more into your masculine, which is the bit more of the dominant side in relationships of this is how it's, you know, whether it's external or not, you have thoughts of this is how it's got to be. I'm going to tell them whether it's right or not. I don't feel this way. This person's making me feel another way. The truth is, group one, nobody makes you feel anything. Everything we feel is through our own lens. If somebody says to me I'm fat, I will get upset. I would once upon a time get upset because I felt fat, because that was an internal wound. But now I wouldn't, because I don't feel fat, even though I'm pretty much the same size. I have a different lens that I'm seeing it through. I have healed how I feel about my body. So anybody that calls me something, I know that that is more of a representation of them and who they are. So you are being asked, pile one, to look at the power you give to people's words. Also to realise the need for emotional awareness and regulation. Because potentially you could be somebody who feels down or gets told something they don't like, and then they're down for days and they don't know how to get out of it. Or you're down in friendships and relationships and you don't realise it, but it's because you hold expectations. We don't always realise we have expectations. But unconsciously we do have expectations until we're aware of them. We expect our friends to be a certain way. We expect them to act or say a certain thing. You know, not rigidly, but we do have some form of expectations. So let's pull this card for you, Divine Spirit, Angels and a Higher Self. What guidance does pile one need? Wow, wouldn't let me move any further. It's time to free yourself from what has been. Learn from it, but not allow it to define you or direct the course of your life. Give up your stories about the past. You have outgrown them. Kali consumes mistakes, sins, and negativities. Let her free. You now let her free you now so you can be open to the gift of your life unfolding. Kali is a feminine energy god. She's a Hindu god, and she's actually the god of destruction, but she's a, femininity, and the feminine energy can be quite a destructive energy because it's the energy of breaking down the old, of breaking down old thoughts, old feelings, old concepts, and allowing the emergence of something new. There has definitely been things in your past that have wounded you. People have hurt you. People have lied to you, and it has led you to distrust people potentially. It's led you to not feel secure in friendships and relationships. Even if you're married, you may still not be completely vulnerable. You may still not know how to deal with conflict. You may still avoid conflict or try to be somebody you think you should be, which is leaving you depressed. If you are suffering depression, group 1, or you're down, this is potentially because you're disconnecting from a part of yourself. You are being who you think you should be and not authentic, not yourself. When we're authentic, we say how we feel. We can... I need another drink of water. My throat grows so dry, sorry. We say how we feel, we own, we allow conflict to happen, and we start to work through conflict. We start to realise that how we say things is more important than what we say. I could tell somebody I'm angry with them, but if I said it in a loving way, I'm open to working through things, or I'm open to taking time out and dealing with it on my own. If I said it in an angry way, I'm just shutting down and getting angry. That doesn't mean you're never going to get angry, but it means afterwards there's no resolution. You need to take accountability after getting angry so that you can work through it. When you start to recognise that your relationships, how you're going right now, it's not serving you. So that's potentially meaning that you need to find more fulfilment in yourself. You need to seek less validation from those around you. To start to love yourself so you can do things by yourself, but not always do things by yourself. So at times you can be vulnerable enough to have people around and tell them how you feel. So that when you're angry, you can face it and tell them, or you can process it and heal it. But either way, pile 1, you're being asked to drop your guard. To drop your guard and to recognise that you're always going to get hurt. Potentially, there's any chance we can get hurt. Somebody we love so dearly who we thought would never hurt us can hurt us. They can say something that they don't mean. It can hurt us. We're always on tenterhooks. We're always trying to protect ourselves from something, which in the end, we're just to protect ourselves from ourselves. So it's time to be more vulnerable. It's time to make choices about who you do and don't want in your life. Time to recognise where your energy is going. And time to recognise the importance of connection. It's no longer going to serve you protecting yourself against something that, well, you can do to yourself. If you're trying to not be hurt by others and you're shutting down, you're always going to end up hurting yourself. I hope that you can take this information, pile 1, this reading. I'm going to now pause and go into the extra cards, and hoping that those who are in my subscribers enjoy the extra cards that I'm doing. Hi pile 1, so this is your extra exclusive content, so let's have a look. So pile 1, I'm going to be having a look in relationship wise, what is the main trap or the main 2 traps that is holding you back within the relationships around you. And this may be one specific relationship, it may be potentially in general the relationships. So let's have a look at what we call it an ego trap. It's, kind of a conspiracy that we've brought through childhood or possibly even from a past life. And then we'll look at how we heal it. So divine spirit, angels and higher selves. What do we have for group 1 regarding relationships? So we have that one. Okay. And then we have that one. Oh, wow, exactly what I felt. So, pile 1, there has been this betrayal that can actually go back as far as childhood. We can learn the pain of a betrayal from watching a parent leave and have an affair, or watching a parent reject us or feel like they're rejecting us in a way for another family. And that's actually as far back as a betrayal can feel. A betrayal can be where we have felt betrayed by a friend growing up, or we've been in a relationship and we've been treated on. For you, pile one, I feel like there's some deep betrayals here that have occurred that have led you to fear close relationships. And they have almost... Oh, I need another drink of water. What's going on? There's all this stifled air with the incense. It has led you into states of depression. Because what happens is, when we disconnect from people because of the betrayal we've been in, we end up disconnecting from a part of ourselves. Because when we have been through pain, we make an unconscious pact with ourselves that we don't want to go through that again. We don't want to, and this is not in our mind. We don't think this and go, this is an active choice, because that's in your conscious awareness then. This happens unconsciously. We shut down our heart center. We say, unconsciously, our body says it doesn't want to experience that again, and it shuts down. So all the relationships we then have are through a lens of fear. The fear of being hurt, the fear of being used, the fear of being betrayed again. So you're constantly potentially looking out for signs that they're going to hurt you, things they say, things they do. And this leads you to become hyper aware, and it leads you to see even the normalist, not a word, but the most normal actions of a human to be internalized as if they are towards you. And what I mean by that is, a partner or a friend who's having a bad day and doesn't respond, you can internalise that as they don't want to bother with you, or they're moody with you. A co-worker who talks to you one day and not the next, you can internalise that as something that you've done. When you have a wound like this, you will internalise a lot of things as personal. And this reading is coming to you to say, when you start to heal that wound, starting to realise that no one's actions are about you. It's weird, isn't it? Unless they say they're about you, they're not about you. Even when they say they're about you, they're not about you. If somebody cheats and they say it's your fault, it's not your fault. It's that person's inability to manage how they feel. It's that person's inability to leave. It's that person's inability to deal with something. They don't want to face that, so they'll say it's your fault. Person who shouts at you because you haven't done something right, that's not your fault. You might not have done it right, but you didn't need to be shouted at. So them shouting was about them. It was about their issues, their inability to deal with things. And it's the same with you. Anything you do is never about another. You getting angry at your partner or your friends isn't about them. You might think it's about them. You might believe that there's things they've done. No, it's just human behaviour that they've done that you have a wound, it's triggered. And the reason why you're potentially in and out of depression or feeling sad or disconnected from people is because you've not got that awareness that actually healing that wound means that we have to recognise we have been hurt. And we heal that by feeling it. And yes, we look out for some signs. You know, there's some of the signs that we're going to be hurt again is actions not matching words. People continually say something but do something different. Yeah, okay. We've got to be a bit careful of that. But the rest is we have to feel our way through relationships. We have to feel our way through being vulnerable, knowing that potentially we could get rejected. But that's okay because we're being honest and authentic to ourselves. Feel our way through connecting to ourselves and loving ourselves. Knowing that reminding yourself and healing yourself to feel that anything that's happened to you was actually not about you. It was not because you wasn't good enough or you was a bad person. It may have felt it and you may have internalized that, but now's the time to bring your pain to the conscious and know that it wasn't you. Everyone else's actions is about them. And the reason why you may be struggling with feeling down and lost is because you're disconnected from yourself. You potentially don't even want to feel your own pain. You don't want to feel the things you've been through. You don't want to look at your experiences because, well, they pop up anyway and hurt you. But them flashing up is different for you actively seeking to heal them by acknowledging them and bringing them to service and letting them go. Anything you try and push down doesn't go anywhere. Anything you try and deny doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't get healed. It just sits in your unconscious. For you, Pile 1, it's time to connect to yourself again. Start to love who you are slowly. And how do you start to love who you are? You start to do things that are loving for yourself. You start to connect to your emotions and your feelings. And you start to give space to the people you want close within your life. Oh, let's do these. These are the healing ones. What can we, Pile 1, heal? Recognizing that, I mean, you probably are in a loving family or a loving relationship, and actually, you know, we can get wounds along our life without even realizing how we've accumulated them, because we're sensitive beings and things affect us, even though we say they shouldn't. They affect us, and there's nothing we can do about that bar heal it. Recognizing you have it all anyway. Whatever you have now is enough. Even if you're single on your own, it's enough. You can create a life that is enough. You have to just look at what you do have. You have to start heal who you are and start to look at who you are and learn, you know, and it's learning the gratitude and the thankfulness for what you have and where you are. Okay, you may not always be where you want to be, but you're not where you were either. Connecting to yourself and to the moment, enjoying your life for what it is and seeing the magic in the moments. We're constantly running for some kind of excitement or connection, when the first port of connection we can create is with ourselves and with our immediate family. Okay, so let's have a look. Maybe starting a gratitude journal and finding all the things that you can be grateful for in your life. And this doesn't mean that you're bypassing the negative feelings. It means you accept the negative feelings and the things you feel. But it also means that you recognise what you have. When you recognise what you have the potential to create more of that. Slowly learning to trust other people. You know, trust people until they give you reason not to. And recognise when you are potentially over-analysing things, so that you can see problems before they arise because your mind is trying to look after you. We are never going to be 100% safe, and we have to recognise that. So we just have to find safety in the moment. And the last card for you all is Clear and Activate. It's time for you to step into some meditation. You're quite a spiritual group. You're being asked to start clearing some of that energy, Pile 1. Clearing what it is that you have, whether it's fear, whether it's pain, whether it's hatred. Start to do some meditations. Heart chakra meditations absolutely will help you open your heart to relationships. It will help you heal, because while thinking and processing some of this is amazing, you have to do the energy work. The energy work can't be seen. The energy work has to be felt, and it only has to be felt over time. You can't know that you've cleared an energy. You just got to keep clearing it. And it's not until you start feeling more connected to yourself and happier do you realise what you've been clearing. So it is time to clear and activate, to, you know, maybe look at what you're eating a little bit, eat a little bit healthier, drink a little bit more water. I know people say that all of the time, but it really does help to, this card for you, really does help to work with your energy. It's time to realise the true nature of certain life circumstances. Be grateful for what you have learned, but see things for what they are rather than what you wish them to be. You shall be able to recognise, process and prosper from the truth, and do not need to fear the revelations that are unfolding. But I think that absolutely sums up the reading, to be quite fair. I feel like it's saying now it's time to release the past. The only way you create a new future is by doing something different to what you're doing. That's the only way. And that means we have to be slowly uncomfortable. We have to do things differently. The only way I was able to build deeper connections with those around me was to spend more time with people, to be more vulnerable, to be more honest, to reflect on my emotions and feelings and where they're coming from. Am I being paranoid? Allow myself to process that. Yes, potentially I am, because I've been wounded. Feel it, validate it, release it. Love and compassion for ourselves is key. I hope you can take Pile 1. If you have any questions, then please do leave me a message below. Thank you. Hello, pile 2, and welcome to your reading. So, in this reading, I'm going to be looking at relationships. What do you need to know? What needs to come into your conscious awareness? How is relationships affecting you? I don't know. Whatever is going to come up is going to hopefully empower relationships around you to be different or to have more awareness within them so that they can become more fulfilling, or maybe they are fulfilling enough and they just need to go up to the next level. I'm not actually a reader that looks into the future, so if you are aware of my readings, what I do is I look into things that are holding people back, things that are affecting them, things that are in their shadow, things that are affected by their inner child. I use psychology and I use my spiritual ability as well as my awareness around things to be able to bring people, hopefully, readings that are going to change them in some way. Okay, now some of the information here might not be comfortable. You might get a bit of a reaction from, you might feel a bit angry, you might just click off it. I want to say to you, if you feel that you're drawn to this path, there is something in it potentially that you're supposed to take from it. But if you do feel completely disconnected from this pile, then do feel free to pick another pile. So I'm going to read the book for the first card, and then what I do is I'll have a look at the rest of the cards and what are they trying to tell us. So number 41. Okay, so time. So the affirmation for you is, I am timeless. Time structures our daily rhythms, a time to work, to eat, to sleep, to socialise. Yet such an ordered concept remains relative, as we've known since Albert Einstein's work. Meaning that our perception of time depends on where we are, who we are, and what we are doing. We can interact with someone on the other side of the globe and they can be in a different time zone, half a day or night ahead of or behind us. Yet we can still share a moment of time together. A day may seem to move faster or slower depending on whether we are at work or we are on vacation or in the dentist chair. If we are a farmer, we may experience time differently than if we are a stockbroker. Many people feel that time is increasingly speeding up. This acceleration can be partly contributed to technology advancements that allow us to do many things much quicker and more efficiently. We simply get more done in a shorter amount of time. In a broader view, time is a social sequential construct that society has created to get a better grasp on reality, to determine when all things made of matter take place in our universe. It prevents things from happening all at once. And we divide time into three separate elements: the past, the present, and the future. This is linear, horizontal way of looking at time, and it has been fundamental to our perception of three-dimensional world. Now that we are waking up to the concept that we are multi-dimensional beings, we must consider vertical time as well. Getting lost in the moment can then refer to the perception that time no longer exists, that there is no connection to our past or our future, horizontal time, and that all we experience is the present moment. And that can actually work with pain from the past. You can experience it as if it's the present moment if you've not healed it. With our awareness completely focused on what is going on in the here and now. Time and relationship. We often use time as a measurement to validate our relationships. While this is certainly a valuable tool for assessment, the quality of time by itself does not validate the significance of our connections with another. We can spend a lifetime with another human being, yet never experience deep or meaningful connection. It is also possible to deeply and profoundly connect with another after just a short period of time, even instantly. When this cannot be explained by any interaction we have had with them in this lifetime, we might consider our external soul's ongoing journeys in many physical forms. Perhaps the quality of the connection is determined by the vertical time we spend with another. What happens in the moment, then by horizontal time or duration. Food for thought. Many of us think often about time. We even use the word time for a variety of ways. It is that time of day. Every time I go there, this happens to me. I would really like to spend some time with you. Pay attention to how often you use the word time and how many different meanings you use it with. Are you able to be fully present in the moment? What happens when you are? Have you ever experienced time standing still? What happens? What happened? What are you doing? Who were you with? Can you revisit or recreate that experience? Have you experienced what it feels like when time is speeding up? I really want to say to you, looking at that, I mean, I read that meaning, but those meanings sometimes can feel a little bit jargony in a sense that maybe, it's hard to gauge a full understanding from what that may mean. Hopefully you do. But to me, reading this card, I feel that maybe you are gauging things with time. But not just gauging things with time, maybe you're not making enough time for the people around you. You could potentially be spending more time with certain people and less time with others, but are not building the connections deeper with the ones you are spending time with. And what I want to say about that is quite often we spend a lot of time with people at work, but yet we never get to know them on a deeper level. And then we never find time to spend time with people we do have a deeper meaning to, because we're tired, or because we're busy, or because we're drained. I feel this card potentially may be saying to you, it's time, it's time. Now is the time. It's time. That's mad, isn't it, when I look at it like that? It's time to look at how you're spending your time. Do you waste time on social media? Do you spend time doing meaningless tasks that don't mean much for you? Do you try multitask too much? Doing all of that can leave you burnt out. It can leave you less in the moment. And it leaves you less connected to other people because your time is spent doing things that you think you've got to do instead of making some time for those that you want to spend time around. So let's have a look at what does pile 2 need to know about relationships. Okay. So we have 9 of Wands. We have the Chariot, a nice big major arcana card. Okay. I get it. Some of these cards are upside down, which I'm not reading upside down now. Okay, so how I'm looking at it now, I do feel that you are potentially caught in patterns that you've been caught in for a very long time, which is probably, I actually want to say, misusing time. I don't feel that you are aware enough of the time that you have with people around you. And it's weird how I feel that again with these cards that we're bringing in. I feel as if you're looking in the past and you are potentially achieving things now in your future that you hope to achieve in your past or you didn't achieve in your past. And what this is leading you to do is this leading you to get caught up in focusing solely on what you're doing now within the here and now and not allowing yourself to spend time with the connections around you. This could be that you've got a job of your dreams, or you're working hard to create money, or you've just built a business, or whatever it is, you're spending potentially a lot of time creating something and moving forward, which is leaving you not potentially connecting to those around you enough. I feel as if there is some... I do feel that potentially you keep yourself busy. I feel as if you keep yourself busy from connections, from deep connections. And this could be because there's pain within the heart. There has been some letdowns that you've had. There has been some, and this could be a little bit from some black and white thinking that you have. Quite often when we've been hurt in our life, we can see it as we've been hurt. And we don't always get to see, well, sometimes the other person didn't mean to hurt us. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes friendships and relationships just naturally break down. But what happens is we can start labeling it as good or bad. They walked away from me, they weren't very nice, they changed, things aren't good, they're not my friend. And when we see things quite black and white, we are unable to heal from the connections that we have lost, because we don't allow the energy to flow through us. We don't allow ourselves to see things in any different way. When we see something differently, when we reflect on, well, some people have to leave our life because they're no longer on our vibration, or they've no longer resonate with us anymore, we can start to heal and to come to a conclusion that actually it was meant to be. And when we sit with the fact we feel it's meant to be, we can bring it to the consciousness of the fact it was meant to be that way. And actually we can let that go. We don't need to hold on to anger and hate that it should have been different. If it was meant to have been different, it would have been different. They were meant to be in your life, then they would be in your life. Now, maybe there's some things in your past that you have grown from. And maybe there's a part of you that feels guilty for some of the relationships that you've lost in your past. And this is asking you to also recognize that, again, if you're healing and people were meant to come back in your life, they will. Now you can reach out and say apologies, or you can reach out and build bridges, but ultimately, if they're meant to come back into your life, they will. And if they don't, it's coming with the acceptance that they're not, that whatever, that friendship or relationship's not meant to be no more. And I feel for you're being asked to potentially create new friendships, or the people that are in your life now, look to build deeper bonds with them. And I also want to say to you that maybe you're underestimating the power of work relationships, or you're underestimating the power of a group that you have around you that necessarily you don't think are close friends, but have the potential to be a closer friend. Quite often we can look at people as if we've known them a long time and believe that friendship should have lasted because we've known them so long. Well, as that first card said, time is not measurable of the depth of a connection. We could know somebody 20 years and never have the deep connection we've had with someone we met for 10 days. Also recognising that we don't have to hold on to friends that we've had for so long just because we've had them for so long. Because I hear that so often, that, well, I've been their friend for so long, I can't just walk away from, I can't just change how the friendship is. But the truth of the matter is, every friendship and relationship has to change. We have to look at what no longer is working for us, what no longer is resonating with us, and we have to learn to change it. Whether it's realising we're giving a friend way too much time and not getting enough back, and it doesn't matter how much we tell them or express to them or try and change it, it's not changing. So what we have to do is we have to take a step back. The King of Wands. You're being asked to move forward. I do feel there's a couple of connections you're chasing your tail with. I feel there's a couple of people in your life, it might even be more, but there's a couple of people in your life that you are holding by time because they've been in your life for so long, but maybe their connection isn't the healthiest. Maybe the person who you was previously, once was around them, is not the person you are anymore. So you're not able to resonate with them anymore because that's not the person that you are. Healing the heart is recognizing it's okay. You can either allow the relationship to change where they're still your friend but they're not your best friend. You can put a few boundaries in. You can create a different dynamic. But first of all, you have to look at what isn't working with them. Because I do feel it's important for you to look at what isn't working with some of these people around you, because when you hold space for people who aren't the right vibration for you, you're not able to bring in anyone else who is on the right vibration. We always feel like we're scared to make new friends. How are we going to make new friends? But there are so many ways that we can make new friends. You can make them at work, you can make them in groups, you can, people say, well, I don't want to go out, I don't want to meet new friends. Well, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be the way you are? Are you happy with how life is right now? Because if not, something has to change. I think potentially you are being called to spread your wings a little bit and enjoy your life. Sometimes we have to lose friends, okay? Sometimes we have to feel like we've got limited people. Too many people hold lots of people around them because they're scared of being alone, but they are the most superficial relationships you'll have. And they give a lot of time and space to superficial relationships. The relationships that are all, let's have a drink together, let's Snapchat, let's do this, but there's no real depth there, there's no real support there. And we hold on to those connections so deeply that really you feel alone anyway. Because unless you're able to deepen those relationships up and you go through something and somebody's not there for you, well, it's a shallow relationship. Relationships of some kind. We can have best friends that we've had for years and have the most shallow relationship where they never check on us. They're so consumed by their own stuff, which is fair, okay? Everyone's consumed by their own stuff. But there has to be some give and take in a friendship and relationship. You're being asked to start empowering yourself with the fact that time is of the essence. You don't have forever. You know, we're pottering along life, making very limited changes. What happens is change is occurring anyway. Change doesn't not happen. Sorry about that. So my battery went dead. So you may be... So going back to time and being caught in time, recognising that time is of the essence, it's time for you now to start realising that we don't have forever. So when we start becoming more in the moment with people and we start enjoying life more with people and start enjoying our time with people, we can start spending our time in more of a way that leaves us feeling fulfilled. When we're staying busy all the time or we're leaving our time in places where we're feeling drained, it's like spending money, it's like wasting money. You're getting yourself more into debt. You feel tired, you feel lethargic and you're not feeling uplifted. When we're around the right people, we can spend with them, even when they're down, we can still feel a sense of, you know, love or a sense of connection. You're being asked to recognise the fact that not everyone is rowing in your boat, that there potentially are some people in your circle that aren't celebrating your achievements. And when this happens, it leaves you not necessarily celebrating your achievements. So starting to move forward and stop chasing your tail. Let other people chase their tail. If people want to find a problem for every solution, you can't help them with that. You can't help people change, grow. And I do feel there's a part of you that gives a lot of yourself to this, to, you know, or even keeping yourself away because you're so used to giving so much of yourself that you believe spending time with people is giving so much of yourself. You can find, when you start to celebrate yourself, start to enjoy your life, start to do things even alone, spending time alone in nature. You know, people say, oh, nature. Well, you can find some of the most fulfilling times in nature. Spending time doing things you enjoy, a book, a good film, a bath, spending time talking to somebody, and start celebrating your life and enjoying it. You will meet people who celebrate your life too with you, and they'll celebrate theirs, and they'll be more on your wavelength. You are being strengthening you is saying, don't look back. Don't look back. Or, you know, maybe there's a part of you that's made some mistakes and you feel like you're trying to rectify them in the present. You're trying to be there for people, support people, love people, because once upon a time, through whatever reason, you wasn't able to. But that's okay. You can't make up for the past by losing a sense of who you are in the present. And it's about living the life now and enjoying your life now with those who are around you. There's lots of people who chase their tails around you and you've got to step away from them. And you can't heal them. There's a part of you that believes just by standing by them, you know, even with a parent, even with a friend, with a parent, you know, we can sometimes have a parent who's poorly. So we try to meet every one of that parent's needs. That's going to leave you tired and resentful. We have to know when to engage support. And then people say, well, I feel guilty. Well, you have to, you know, if we do everything for somebody else, we're going to lose a part of ourselves. And it's about knowing sometimes how important time is. Some people say, well, I've only got 10 years of my mum, I've got to do everything for her. That's still 10 years of your life. Of your life. We don't have to sacrifice our life for somebody else. We can support somebody else and try and be there for them, but we cannot. Even aging parents, we have to know when we have to get other people to support, when we have to maybe think about other options. Okay. Wow. Now is the time for you. I don't know if you're single or if now is the time for you, you know, whether you're single or in a relationship. Remember, these are general readings. Now is the time for you to forge a life on your own. And this does not mean without a partner. If you are with somebody, it doesn't mean leaving them. It means it's time to start finding something that lights your life. You have potentially given a lot of yourself to other people to be a good mum, if you're a mum or a dad. Be a good dad, be a good brother, be a good sister, be a good daughter, be a good friend. You have potentially spent a lot of your life living a life, going through the motions, going to work or doing things that you think need to be done, you know, keeping a good home or building a home. You have been living life focusing on the needs of other people because, for one, that probably leaves you feeling good, but it's not going to leave you feeling good long term. It's going to leave you feeling good short term, and then it's going to leave you feeling used. Two, it's going to leave you keep self-sacrificing, sacrificing your time, sacrificing your health, sacrificing your mental health, sacrificing time that you need to spend understanding who you are. What's your needs? What do you love to do? What do you love creatively? Who are you, Pile 2? It's time you say, who are you? I do feel that there's potentially 2 children or 2 people around you that is looking after themselves and, you know, are quite self-sufficient. So I had to pause it again because my daughter rang me. So now is the time for you to focus on building a strong sense of self. You may have potential codependency with people. And I do, you know, say to you, research a little bit about codependency and whether that is something that you are aware of with some of the people around you, because when we start to heal codependency, we're able to recognize how our thoughts, feelings and behaviors and happiness can become enmeshed with somebody else, and recognizing that we can still love people without having to be so affected by their behaviors or by their emotions or by their feelings. And now is a time for you to allow some people to stand on their own 2 feet. And maybe you've done that. Maybe you've isolated yourself a little bit and actually you've become a little bit lonely. It's time for you to start to build a sense of who you are. Find some things that you enjoy doing. And you can't learn what you enjoy doing without exploring different things. People have to start reading and start creative projects and start doing things to find who they are along the way. We don't just know who we are. We have to allow who we are to uncover. And when we start to step into who we are and we start to find a sense of purpose, you know, whether that's enjoying a job or enjoying creativity in art at home if we're not able to work, whether that's enjoying reading or learning about ourselves or creating something, doing that can lead us to have better connections with other people, because when you feel good in yourself, you can enjoy the people around you. When we are constantly hyper-focused on another person and how they think, feel and behave, we are always reliant on their mood or their emotions or their feelings. So now is the time for a new start for you. It's a time, you know, and it's so weird that you got the time card and it's saying now is the time. And now, you know, it does feel weird keep saying it, but it's the time for you to start putting yourself first. It's a time for you to start doing something for yourself, to find that strength to start saying no a little bit more, even to yourself. No to indulging in TV that's mindless. No to same behaviours that keep you trapped, stopping you from stepping out your comfort zone. So let's have a look at what this card says for you. Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self. Okay, it must be that. It must be that card. Okay. It isn't. I don't feel connected to it when I was doing it. So Divine Spirit, Angel and... Oh! Okay. Wow. So the card that you have been given is the card of Spiritual Evolution. Set your heart free. So this is about connecting to your heart for yourself, healing your heart, meditation, doing meditation on the heart chakra, feeling some feelings and connecting to them and what they're trying to tell you. You're a very spiritual pile, so you already do meditation, I believe, or you're interested in meditation. You already explore. You might be a spiritual worker. You might be somebody who's done Reiki, interested in Reiki. There's a spiritual element to you, pile 2, which is saying to you, you can't help others if you haven't helped yourself. You can't do the work for other people if you're not doing the work on yourself. Or maybe this is a part of, there's a spiritual purpose here for you, whether it's learning Reiki, whether it's learning mediumship or learning the tarot. There is a, it could be that your spiritual purpose is being called for you to come in. Meditation, finding out who you are, reading books on the subjects that light you up. But now is a time for you to explore the deeper aspects of yourself, and that could be in part through self-development, through the spiritual understanding. It could be through, self-development can come through Reiki, can come through shamanistic workshops. Maybe you're being called to go to some more spiritual workshops, or go to some groups where you can really connect with people on your wavelength. But whatever it is, you're on a spiritual evolution. And it kind of does say here, because pile 1 was very based on relationships and on emotions, whereas you are very much based, I can't get my words out. You are very much based on looking on you. Okay, so it means, it's saying to me that there's a part of you that's given a lot of yourself away. And now is your time. Maybe your children are growing up, or they've gone to school. There's been some changes within your life that are saying to you, it's time for you to focus on you. And that connections are important to you, but they've, new connections, new ways of connecting, but also not putting other connections before you, before yourself, because quite often we can be caught in pleasing another. We can be caught in filling our time with doing things for our children and family, and it leaves us no time for ourselves. So yes, that is what you are being called for, to allow yourself to connect to yourself. You're going through a bit of a transformation. Maybe in your life right now you feel disconnected from yourself. You feel like so many things are changing around you that you don't quite know what that means for you. Do some meditations and your higher self meditations and connect with you. Connect with a sense of self and with spirit, and find, allow your deeper meaning to come in. You are having realizations, so I definitely do think, pile 2, you are a spiritual pile. You're having some realizations here. Some of what I'm talking about, you probably already know, and it's almost like you're uncovering slowly more about the meaning of life, more about the meaning of your life, more about, what life has here to offer for you. I do feel that you might be called to do some shadow work, so do explore shadow work, because I feel while you're bringing some things to the conscious awareness, so you're already doing some self-development, there's some parts of you that's in the shadow. Okay, these are parts that are holding you back. So potentially doing some shadow work will really help you move forward. Okay, so let's do a Kali card. Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self. So Kali is the feminine energy. She's she's a divine feminine god. She is a Hindu god, but she is the god of destruction. Feminine energy can be destructive too. Just like a period when a female goes through a period. Some females do, some don't. But the ones that do, they're shedding something. There's some form of destruction each month, you know, that feels hugely uncomfortable as they're shedding something from them. And Kali is here to shed things from life so you can rebuild and become aware in a different way. Kundalini Shakti. Significant inner shifts. Fucking knew it. Excuse my French. Significant inner shifts are taking place. Energies are beginning to move in new ways. You may feel the resolution is hard to pin down at this time. Lean into unfamiliar territory with boldness, tempered by patience. You will become capable of many things on many levels that you were not capable of accomplishing previously. You shall rise afresh, path is signified. Wow. So that's telling you that shifts are happening to connect to yourself deeper. Now is the time to find your sense of purpose and find the clarity around your life and what that has meaning for you. So I'm going to go now, pile 2. I'm going to go into the extended version. I hope to see you in future readings. Bye. Hi, pile 2 extended version. So let's have a look at, obviously we're carrying on. You're probably still listening, so we're just doing the extended version. What is affecting you with relationships? Let's have a look. Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self. Pile 2. What is affecting your relationships within your life? With yourself or with others? Okay, that one. Oh my God, I had a vision of that one earlier. Okay. Right. I personally feel that you are in competition with yourself. You are holding on to a version of you that you were prior to who you are now. So you've either had a bit of depression, you've had something significant change in your life. I feel that there has been some significant changes in your life that have led you to change. You're more aware now, you see things a bit differently now. And sometimes you don't like that. You're probably trying to live life almost a little bit like who you were prior to these events happening. This could be death of a family member. It could be job loss. It could be, you know, anything significant, relationship breakdown. But there's been some, and this could have been 10 years ago, but you're almost feeling sad for the person you were prior and almost feeling like you want to be that person. And you're always trying to potentially be who that person you was. You're still trying to live a life kind of like you used to, or you're wishing that life was what it used to be. And that is going to lead you a little bit to stay stuck where you are. I am so drawn to the top of that card, and that makes me feel for you that you needed to go through some destruction in your life, pile 2. Okay, whenever this destruction happened, whenever these events happened, or might have even been a loss of yourself, you needed to go through them because they were the catalyst for the change that you didn't know you needed. And you're not at the other end yet, okay? You're not at the other end because, well, right now you're probably in the mix of things shifting and transforming, like that Kali card said. So you're not at the end yet, but you're probably still in a little bit of the chaos. You're caught in a little bit of the rubble. And you're being asked to not fight your way out of that rubble, just find some breathing space in it. You're going to be, you know, all you have to do is do the right things to move through your life with self-reflection, and the rest will work out. Life isn't a competition. You know, sometimes we can feel, and I'm not saying you are competitive, but you may be looking at other people and feeling like, well, my life's not like that. Is that what happiness is? Is that what life's supposed to be like? And when we look at other people and compare, we always feel that our life is less than. We feel it's less than, that we are missing something. But you're only seeing one part of the other person's story. You're not seeing the hidden parts that they don't want to show you. So don't compare your life to anyone else's as if there's something wrong or lacking in your life, because there isn't. You're meant to be where you are meant to be. What's card for relationships, part 2? Okay, it's definitely those two. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to hide that a little bit because there is YouTube has some new rules where we're not allowed to show any nudity, which is fair enough. So pile 2, I feel that this card is more about building connection with yourself. It's more about spending that time now working on you. Okay, you don't have to be single for this. You don't have to have no children for this. You know, we can have children that are still young and still do this. But now is the time to continue that inner work, because you are getting somewhere. You have gotten quite far as it is now. Whatever spiritual work that you're doing, is there's more of it coming. You know, it's going to lead you into something else. And that's why you're being asked to continue to make the choices that are leading you on the path to where you want to head. There's going to be times where you're going to feel down. There's going to be times where you question everything. There's going to be times where obstacles feel like they're appearing in your way. But what we have to remember there is the obstacles are lessons or blessings. Okay, I'm going to hold that in my hand because I need to look at it, but I don't want to show it on camera. The obstacles are lessons or blessings. What obstacles you're facing, what you need to take from it. Things that are breaking down, things that are not working out, things that are slow. What is it you're meant to learn? So in one breath I said we haven't got all the time in the world, but another breath, when you slowly start using time to your advantage, time doesn't go so fast. When you become mindful, when you connect with the moment, you get the most of your time. You know, I do feel that you might also be called to be working with your ego. A lot of spiritual things are coming up here. So pile 2, you might have worked with me on spiritual coaching, because the extended version is in my group. So you guys have either worked with my spiritual coaching or you've done some work with me, because there's a little bit of ego work here. So a little bit of brain work going on. It's, you know, you're surrendering, you're doing amazing that way, but there's a part of you that says, no, you know, this isn't worth it. And you're being asked to recognize how your mind or your ego is playing a part in that, and it's trying to hold you back. It might be slowing you down a little bit, because what might happen is it might be leading you to some, you know, short-term fixes and short-term temptations to go back to some old behaviours or some old ways where it's not really going to serve you. It's asking you to recognise you're in this for the long haul. To recognise that for you to bring in potential partners, friends and people around you that are healthier for you, you have to become that healthier person yourself. That doesn't mean fully healed. It just means a person that can recognise what feels good for them, what doesn't. A person that can slowly say no and what's not right for them and accept what is. A person that can sit with uncomfortable things and know that it may take a little bit of work, but you can get through it. So let's have a look at another one of these. Oh, I don't want to leave that card on show for too long. What's the other one? I feel as if you might be sometimes fighting against life and fighting against things, and you're being asked to lean into it more. Have acceptance, to understand that the life in your future, the life today, is the life that you created weeks and years ago. Because whatever your life is like today is what you've been feeding. And that, you know, that's hard. But if we are slowly working on self-development and self-growth and self-healing, there is going to be no way in our future that we're not going to be happier, more fulfilled people. Because you don't work on something without it changing something along the way. If we're sad and depressed, this means we've been denying things. We've been denying how we're feeling, denying our emotions. So you're being asked to not fight life anymore and to understand what life is telling you. So you are being given the sacred animal of the deer. So this is a spiritual animal that I want you to research. Pile 2. Okay, do research what the deer means for you. Wow. The deer. Lead the way, light to your own path. And so that's an extra message that you need to research. But it's also a message of, I mean, the deer is a highly spiritual animal. It's an animal of higher self. So you're definitely being asked to keep that connection forming with your higher self. Recognize the magic that is occurring in your life. Well, not recognize it, because if you don't see it, you don't see it. But recognize that it has to happen. If you keep working in that way, you know, If we've got a new light bulb in and we turn the light on, then the light's going to work majority of the time. We have to have faith, don't we? By doing our part, the other part is going to work. But if you don't pay your bill and you don't change your light bulb and your electrics haven't been serviced in 20, 30 years, the likelihood is the light bulb's not going to work. You have to service it, you have to keep on top of it, and you have to work with it for it to be what you want it to be. So now is the time to lead your own way. It's time for you to keep making sure that you recognise the importance of yourself and your journey. Right, let's do another Kali card. So time is of the essence, but remember, time is how you use it. If you're trying to multitask continually, it's going to go very quickly. You're not going to enjoy it. But if you slow down with time, lean into each moment and start enjoying time for what it is, time won't rush by as quickly. When we're multitasking and we're busy, time flies. But when we're slowing down, it's still the same time. But you're just in the moment more. And it's almost like we create more time. Have you ever had those days where they've just flowed and it feels like you've had loads of time to do things? It's because you've slowed down. Time feels like it speeds up when we are so committed to many different things that we don't get to be in the present moment. Life as you have known it will change radically, and this can be a welcome release. Kali is not quiet and subdued in the cremation grounds. She is wild and vital. Kali brings energy and aliveness to situations where there would otherwise be none. She brings to an end the stagnation that has been depleting your life force. So if you are going through a turbulent time right now, knowing it is going to, you've been making some positive choices with your life, so that is going to pass. Well, with everything passes. But it's going to pass in more of a productive way. There's going to be something you gain at the end from this chaos. An enlightenment of something. Of some kind even. Seeing things in a different perspective. Understanding the importance of time. So I hope that you can connect to this reading, Pile 2. Thank you for letting me read for you. And I look forward to seeing you in future readings. Take care. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. So this is a general reading. And, if you don't connect with the reading initially, then it may not be for you. But if you do feel that you connect with the initial card, but you don't quite know if the reading's for you, listen on, because even though not everything may be for you, there may be a deeper message in the reading that you're being called to reflect on. So the readings that I give are not future readings. They are for me to look at relationships, what's holding you back, what do you need to know about relationships, the relationship to yourself and the relationship to another. So let's turn this over. 7th chakra. The energy of the crown chakra supports our feeling of being connected to higher power and a part of a larger whole. So 7. I like to read from the book for this one, and then I'll give my perspective on it. Okay. Affirmation. I am divine. The crown chakra is associated with the colour violet, which carries the highest frequency in the visible spectrum and burns away all negativity, transmuting it into light. The crown chakra is driven by the principles of cosmic consciousness and awareness, located at the top of the head. It connects us directly to the cosmos and to the limitless higher states of consciousness. It allows us to access our multidimensional consciousnesses beyond the limitations of earthly dimensions. The element for the crown chakra is thought. Humanity's search for the meaning and understanding is an inherent driving force for human consciousness. And when our crown chakra is open, we are connected to the energy of the universe. We can receive information from beyond the three-dimensional plane. An open chakra, crown chakra, might also result in experiencing states of pure bliss and spiritual ecstasy. The crown chakra represents our connection to a higher power, sometimes referred to as Source, the universe or God. Our understanding of who we are,
what we are here to do in this lifetime, and what our relationship is to the larger whole derive from this connection. When we have this deeper understanding, we also have a much clearer understanding of people who show up in our lives and the gifts, the lessons that they bring us. Food for thought. What are you focused on right now? Are you able to be present in the moment? Do you believe that you are a divine being? Do you believe that you are the co-creator of your own reality? Do you understand why the people in your life are showing up and what they are showing you? Do you get triggered easily by others? How do you deal with that? Personally, I imagine myself going through life carrying a spiritual shovel. Every time I feel triggered, I stop in my tracks and start digging into my own inner world of thoughts and feelings to get to the root of whatever triggered me, exposing it and dealing with it. I try to use my spiritual shovel before I engage in any reaction or dialogue with the person who triggered me, even if this means I have to remove myself from the situation until I've done my inner work. So I feel for you, you are actually a very spiritual being. And look, we're all here spiritually. Sorry if I'm knocking that. We're all here spiritually. But you are a light worker in the sense that you're maybe a life path 7, 8 or 9. Okay, if you're not, that doesn't matter. But your life path or your life here is one of spiritual evolution. Okay. You're here to understand the connection to yourself and to others on a deeper level. You have potentially had some really hard relationships in your life. And I definitely feel there may have been some potential abuse of some kind. And I'm sorry if I'm triggering anyone. That has led you to, and you may be not at this point yet, but there's led you to go through many different friendships and relationships that has the potential to bring you lots and lots of growth. And there's a part of you possibly that has grown a lot already, but maybe you're caught still connecting to some people that are not healthy for you. Still connecting to people that are almost mimicking relationships from your parents and from past connections. And this doesn't have to mean that they're abusive, but what it may mean is that you are potentially coming from wounded parts with them, or they are potentially wounding parts of you, and you're not able to see the deeper meaning necessarily of what they are. Right now within your life, you're being asked to recognize why you are potentially being triggered by some people around you. There are some lessons of deeper wounds that some people around you are triggering. Okay? And how we start to recognize what a trigger is, it's about understanding our emotions. When we feel an emotion that is bigger than the situation, we feel angry, we feel like we want to react, we feel we want to say something, or we're getting this real rushing of emotion, it means you're being triggered. And there is potential triggers there that are leading you to recognize parts of yourself you're not connecting to and you're denying, and parts of yourself that need to heal. So if we get triggered by the people around us in the sense that we always feel like they're not listening to us, that's because there's a part of you growing up somewhere or in early adolescence that felt very invalidated, that felt very unheard, and you had to shove your feelings down. So until you heal that, you will continually meet people who invalidate you, who just bat your emotions off, or kind of make you feel like you can't really be emotional, you just got to get on with it. And you will internally feel as if you are being invalidated, unheard. And how you start to heal that is you recognize maybe you are still being invalidated, because when you invalidate your own feelings, such as, oh, it doesn't matter, maybe I'm overreacting, you're invalidating a feeling. But when you validate a feeling, you'll say, well, actually, I do feel that. That is hurting. And you bring into a conscious awareness that actually it hurts because when I was a child or when I was in a past relationship, I was constantly told to shut up,
or go away, or you're overreacting. And when you connect it to a source, you don't always have to connect it to a source because you can't always. But when you do connect it to a deeper understanding, you can start to heal it. And how you do that is by validating it. You do feel that way. And then telling the person, or just experiencing the fact that that is okay to feel and that's how you feel. But there's some triggers that you're being asked to explore. Are you meeting lots of emotionally unavailable people? People who just are shutting you down? Is that because there's a part of you that's emotionally unavailable and you're being asked to heal that wound? That maybe you have had some people in your life growing up that were emotionally unavailable, and that's something that you've learned. And actually that person that's triggering you is doing it because that is what you need to heal in you. Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self, what guidance do we have for pile 2? Okay, I don't move reverse this, so I'm going to put it there. So, I do feel that you may be caught within your life with connections to yourself and others in potential victim mentality. And this is not saying that you just think you're a victim and, you know, you blame everybody else. It's not saying that. What it is saying is that you have been through a lot of pain in your life, that yes, you have transmuted to a certain extent, but when other people sometimes do something, you will feel personalised by it. You will feel it's them. You won't always be able to look at yourself and to be able to realise that maybe there's a part of you that's feeling sad, down, or disconnected. And because you don't know where that source is, you're looking for that source in another. So say a partner, you know, you're not feeling as emotionally connected to them. That it's not really that that partner's not emotionally connecting to you. It's that you're not emotionally connecting to yourself and you're not allowing yourself to feel those feelings. And this comes from a source of you invalidating yourself for a long time. I feel that you have been hurt by many people, which leaves you to constantly enter, not constantly, but sometimes enter into situations that you get hurt by. And that could also mean that you overthink things. You might sometimes get a bit paranoid about the actions of another. And it leaves you to feeling fearful. What if I get hurt again? What if someone's going to take advantage of me? What if somebody's using me? And you're being asked to reflect on, for one, how much work you've done internally. You've come so far in your life. You've healed a lot. And you have had to make some sacrifices along the way with people. And you have built some good connections, but you are still a little guarded. And there is still a little bit of armour that you wear here because you're afraid of being hurt again. So you are being asked to realise that you're hurting yourself when you hold on to the notion and the fear that you're going to keep getting hurt again. And allow yourself to feel those times where you feel like maybe that's going to happen, maybe somebody is going to hurt me. But also allow yourself to feel when you need to let that go and it comes from past pain. Explore your triggers. Explore, you know, there is a potential part of you that is doing some inner work, but you're still hiding some aspects from yourself. You maybe not be touching on some things within yourself. You may also help other people, but you are still a little bit disconnected from pausing and giving yourself that little bit more of connection, a bit more of meditation for yourself, a bit more of self-love and self-connection. So what's happening is you're trying to give to another when you're not completely giving to yourself. There is some unbalancing here, I feel, in your life where, for one, we're never going to be balanced completely all of the time, but maybe you're spending a lot of time on your passions and a lot of time on moving forward in your life, a lot of time of creating something in your life, but you're not balancing it out with connections with other people. It's almost like you could potentially have gone into a bit of a lone wolf, just getting on with things on your own. You have connection with others, but it's almost, you have depth with people, but it's almost like, you're very passionate about helping people. You're very passionate about moving forward in your life, and sometimes this sees you getting quite dogmatic in your mind of being like, right, I'm helping other people, I'm doing this, I'm putting people first, and that's seeing you a little bit like caught in a passion, caught in a job, caught in a work, caught in finding that strength that you never felt you once had. I do feel that you're a little bit disconnected from your past. And I'm not saying here you have to bring your past in, but I am saying that there are potential parts in your past that are going to be ready to explore again at some point. You are a very passionate person, and you are somebody that fights for the underdog, but make sure that you realise sometimes you are the underdog. And that while you're healing your heart and you're balancing things out, you have to kind of see that sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. I think Pile 3, being a very spiritual being, you are very empathic, you're very sensitive to things and people and their words. And what happens is, even though I'm not saying you're oversensitive, you can feel a lot from other people, and this is something that you are going to battle through your life, the balancing of feeling everything around you and how hard it is, and possibly negativities, and balancing out finding that peace and that serenity. But I want to say to you, the behaviours of others, even though you feel hurt by them, or even though you feel, sometimes you might feel that you want a deeper connection with your partner or your friend. And actually, it's about recognising that maybe you do have that deep relationship. You're just not seeing it because there's an expectation there of how things should be. Because every time there's a good run, you can sometimes slip into what's wrong because you're not used to things going well. You might self-sabotage at times sometimes, I feel. Wow, this has come out in every pile. Which is mad, because this is like relationship connections. So I'm going to hold that in my hand because YouTube do not like naked people, and they don't there's all these new rules and regulations, so I'm going to hold it in my hand. It's mad that this has come out in every group. You have a soulmate in your life. So this is a soulmate, as in husband or wife, but this person triggers you the most. If it's not a mate, it may be a friend. You're so very close to them. But I want to say this person potentially triggers you the most. And they leave you feeling the happiest at times, but also feeling the most confused. And that's because they are here. So they're not necessarily a soulmate, they're a twin flame. They're here to teach you something, okay? They're here to teach you love and compassion for yourself. They're here to teach you boundaries. And that's not by them having boundaries and love and compassion. Sometimes that's by them being quite a black and white person. By them being or having some behaviours that trigger you from the past. And recognising that they're not, these people aren't bad people, but sometimes these behaviours are, not sometimes, all the time, they are learned. And when behaviours are learned, they are just they're behaviours that are used. So when we understand that with another, when we're starting to feel hurt by a behaviour or hurt by something, we can recognise what it's telling us. Are we needing to connect more with them? Are we pulling away? Are we struggling with our emotions that we're shutting down? Are we creating obstacles because we're not used to being loved in the sense we're being loved now, and actually we're almost waiting for something to go wrong, so we create something that's wrong? Because ultimately we can do that.
when we're in happy relationships or friendships, we can end up sometimes finding a problem because we're not used to not having a problem. I do feel that you have somebody in your life that is very open and loving, and in a way this has hard for you because even though they're open and loving, they're not necessarily open and loving in the way that you think you want. You may think you want an emotional person, somebody that opens up, but maybe they're not like that. Maybe they're somebody who provides for the home, they buy things, they support you in different ways, but you're focusing on the fact that they don't support you in the way you think you need. Not one person can't support us in every single way. We have to know when we need to support ourselves, and sometimes appreciate, I'm just checking that it's still recording, appreciate their love language, and understanding that some people's love language is not the same as ours. A friend might not always be there for us every week, but when we really need them, they might be there. That their love language is different. A friend might not be able to afford to buy things for somebody and repay presents, but what they can do is give time. Some friends try and give time, but they can't, but they try and think of you when they can in, buying you little gifts when they can. Understanding that there's different love languages is really key to healing and to unleashing, that power, but also it leaves you connecting to yourself. Because it leaves you realising that what you hope another is going to give you, you need to give all of that to yourself. That's one thing I have to really say. We always want certain things from partners and friends, but majority of what we're seeking from another is something we need to give ourselves. We want time for another, but we need to give ourselves time, and we also need to give them time. We want people to give us time and connection, but yet when we have that with them, we're on our phones or we're shutting down. We have to be willing to give the very thing that we want back from them. So let's pull your card. Let's hide that one. So Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self. What card do we have for pile 3? We have 2! Oh. Third eye vision and ground your light. So as somebody, I feel you are a light worker. Whether you actively work as a light worker or a Reiki or whatever, you are giving energy without you even realizing it. You are like an energy sponge. You're giving it all the time. Whether it's a supportive phone call to somebody or love to somebody, you're always giving your energy, and you have to let yourself ground that and give yourself that back, because you are not an empty, you're not a source that's full all of the time. You have to be connected so that you can keep giving from that source and not from your own, because otherwise that's how you burn out. It's also time for you to let your soul shine, for you to be your authentic self, for you to know the power of you and your story and who you are and what you mean. That you are worthy, that you are important in people's lives, and that people do care and love for you. And you do have somebody in spirit who is sat with you, who wants you to know that they're there with you. This may be a grandparent. Actually, I think it's 2. It's a nan and a granddad. They may have been together in spirit, so they're not passed at the same time. They may have been together in life and then in spirit, and then they're together in spirit. Or it could be one from each side, but it's 2 people that you were particularly close to, and they are in spirit, and they want you to know that they are there and they are with you, and they are also helping you with your energy. And they want you to know that you are heard and validated through your experiences, that they do know and support you. Meditation is being called in. You're being called to, if you don't do it, it's time to. It's time to start. If you do it, it's time to up your game and do it more. You do live in your mind, number 3, at times. Your mind's a powerful tool for you, number 3. As a highly evolved being of some kind, you are a deep thinker. You think, and you're being asked to come out of your mind and into your body. Stop allowing your mind to be hijacked by all these thoughts that don't have a place in your mind. Feel them, challenge them, and let them go.
When you start to do meditation, you start to calm your mind, you have more of a choice of what's in your mind. Okay, let's do the Kali card. So, Kali is a feminine energy of destruction. You know, not all feminine energy is extremely passive and laid back. There are some feminine energies that have to come in and cause destruction. The Tower card can be labelled a feminine energy. It comes in, causes destruction, but it allows for new rebuilding to happen. Knowing what to allow and what to fight for or against requires wisdom. Shamunda is a fearlessness, wisdom, patience and discipline required to conquer a difficult situation. Shamunda is a power to accomplish what you need and desire. She is with you now. Her presence now portends a truly exceptional breakthrough on your path. I'm going to read you one more as well before I go on to the extended version. Kali overcomes karma, realigns us with our path when we have veered off course, reverses the momentum of negativity and detaches draining energy cords, restoring us to full vitality. It may seem like your will is being thwarted as you are not getting what you want, but the goddess knows what she's doing. Her actions will benefit you. Trust. I hope that you can take that reading, group 3. I'm going to go into the extended version now. If you are not in the subscribers group on Facebook, and you are on Facebook, do find me. My name is, well, I'm under The Spiritual Hub. My name is Victoria Bedford, and I do lives on Facebook, and in my supporters group there's lots of exclusive content. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you all in future videos. Oh, just to let you know, I do meditations and have other videos to help you with healing and transformation on my page. Hi, extended version group 3. Oh, this has been a long afternoon of doing this reading, but a beautiful one. So let's have a look in what may be affecting or continuing to hold you back with relationships with yourself or with others. So divine spirit, angels and higher self. Okay, so pile 3. There is potentially here some denial, I feel, about how you feel about some connections that have been lost in your life. You may have been moving forward and acknowledging consciously that you need to let go of some relationships, but maybe there is some emotional residue left behind regarding that relationship or relationships, and regarding what pain they actually did inflict on your life. I do feel, pile 3, you've grown up in environments that are not actually the healthiest for you, and it has left you very unheard, very unvalidated, and this has led to power struggles later on in life. So what is potentially really holding you back with relationships with yourself and others is there's power struggles that are going on. It's almost like at times you struggle to allow the acknowledgement that people can't always be who you want them to be. There may be times that you hold the fact that you have to be right and that your ways are the right ways. And I don't want this to be looked at as negative. I want you to understand that this is how we grow when we recognise these behaviours, because when we do, it can leave us having different connections. Everyone just is. Everyone comes from a different source of pain, from a different source of wounding and things within their life. And when we've been wounded, we can focus on ourselves and what our needs are. Because when we have not had our needs met a lot in our life, we sometimes try to get them met through somebody else, or we focus on believing that relationships have to be a certain way without realising we don't aim for this to be. We just end up in these power struggles because things don't feel like how they should be. And when this happens, you're being asked to reflect on
What expectations are you holding? Do you have a need to be right sometimes? Do you have a need where you're a bit black and white thinking? Do you have some belief systems that, without realizing, some relationships have to be a certain way? It's time to allow yourself to face the denial a little bit of how your pain is still affecting you a little bit. And while you are extremely healed, sometimes we can sit in denial without meaning to, and that's why readings like this are really good. We can feel that our need has to be a certain way, like I need that person to be more open with me. Well, we get so adamant that that's how it should be, that when it's not, we're like, well, I can't be with them, they're not right for me. But the truth of the matter is, maybe there's something we have to accept. That people are just who they are. And as long as their behaviours are not so detrimental that they're damaging to us, maybe the self-reflection part is more important. I also want to say to you that you are potentially somebody who introjects the thoughts and feelings of others. If you said that wall was black and somebody said, no, it's grey, you could potentially go, I see your point of view. Because you are potentially somebody that has had to absorb growing up the thoughts and feelings of others. And maybe you have been gaslit in your life by parents and told that something isn't what it is. So even though you're in a power struggle with people, that's because you doubt your own feelings and don't validate them. You might be caught in the fact that somebody else has to be a certain way to you to feel happy, but it's because you're not being that way to yourself. Because growing up, you've been gaslit and told you shouldn't feel sad, you shouldn't feel down. Well, it wasn't like that. Nobody meant to do that. Well, and some of those things are true, but when you're constantly invalidated, that your experiences were not what they were by somebody else who inflicted those experiences on you, it leaves you doubting yourself a lot in your life. And then when you doubt yourself a lot, you can become denial, because you can not know that it's a doubt that you have within yourself. So you deny what you really feel. You deny what you really think. So if you're angry with somebody, you'll just say, I'll just let it go, and you'll deny that you really feel that way. And then you hold on to it and hold on to it, and you enter into this power struggle with them. I need a drink. Trying to get them to see your way, or trying to get them to see why you could be happier a different way. I hope you know what I mean when I'm saying this. You're being asked to not allow other people's thoughts and views to you can see somebody else's point of view without having to take on that maybe they are right. You are still allowed to have your point of view. Your point of view doesn't have to be so black and white at times. You're also somebody who's a great empath and feels the pain of so many people around you. If somebody's in a mood, you'll feel it and it'll affect you. If somebody's down, you'll feel it and it'll affect you. And you'll almost take it personally, potentially at times, if they say things about you or other people that are negative, you'll take it on. Oh, how do you heal this? You start focusing on the light within your life. You start finding the light, connecting to the light, connecting to your higher self, connecting to source, meditation, feelings of peace, feelings of oneness, feelings of love and compassion for yourself, for the things that you have been through, for the experiences that you have had, and how they have made you. I'm so sorry. I might sound quite emotional through this reading. But I was told prior to this reading a little bit that this was going to be my reading, and I didn't really want to share that with you. But you are my subscribers group, and I do share most things with you. But I was told prior to doing this, pick a card, that number 3 I was to listen to. And a lot of it resonates, I'm not going to lie. And even though I'm not caught massively in it all of the time, there is a certain situation going on in my life right now that I do connect to. So it's giving me a bit of self-realisation. So I'm almost giving myself a reading while giving you guys a reading. So, that's pretty mad, isn't it? But this is how it works. This is how Spirit wants us to work. So it's about connecting with the light, connecting with the source of light, commitment to yourself, commitment to family, the family you choose, by the way, it doesn't have to be blood, commitment to communication with yourself and with others, commitment to being in the moment, to healing, to loving who you are, to acknowledging how far you've come, to being vulnerable, committing to knowing that you are here as a source of light, but you can't be that light all by yourself. And also, you can't always give so much of yourself. Let's pick another one of these cards. Divine Spirit, Angels and Higher Self. What guidance do we have? Align your universe, navigate distractions. Well, that's a big one for me. So it is time now to be focused. To be focused on what not an end goal is, but what a goal is within your life. To be focused on a little bit of structure on what it is you do, you know, where is it you're going? Like maybe spending more time with people. It could be maybe spending more time reflecting. There's got to be, it's aligning your universe and in the sense that not always being on social media. Flaming out, that's a big one for me. I'm really trying to work on that at the moment. But for you guys, not always being on social media, not always being on TikTok, not always, you know, being immersed in a TV program. Using your time in a way that is leading you feeling more connected to you. You are really flowering at the moment, and there is a power within you that is burning so deep, higher 3. And actually you've blossomed and your petals are open and transparent, but it's almost like you're not willing, you know, it's not that you're not willing, but there's a power within you that you're not truly fully connecting to. You know, you're not fully connecting to it because there's distractions around you that your mind is focused on. It's taking you away from truly connecting to your power. Also connect to your divine feminine. It's time to work with some divine wounding that you have within your feminine energy and to allow that femininity to come through. So you might want to research a little bit of healing the divine feminine. So there might be aspects there that you might want to heal. And you are elevating, you're healing your heart. Whether you realize it or not, you are healing your heart. You are doing heart chakra work, and it has been healing for some time.